I shall move that this House debates and discuss the provision of sanitary pads to the Namibian women and girl child through either one, imposing a tax exemption on all menstrual hygiene products, or two, a zero tax, which is technically subject to taxation but no tax is charged, or three, a reduced rate of not less than 3% or as prescribed by our national tax laws. Thus, I ask that this matter be referred to the relevant standing committee and/or for the Ministry of Finance to consider bringing an amendment to the tax laws relevant to this motion.
Welcome back. Member of Parliament and Deputy Minister for Information and Communications Technology last week tabled a motion seeking for a reduction of total tax exemption on all menstrual hygiene products. Globally, more than half of women are currently of reproductive age, and menstruation is a monthly reality. Yet, all around the world, many women lack access to menstrual hygiene products or sanitation facilities, either due to limited availability or excessive cost. This is a reality facing the Namibian girl and woman, and this matter may have been exacerbated by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Minister Theofelus will motivate this motion tomorrow and joins me now with more via Skype. Good morning. Good morning, Deputy Minister. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Now, let's look at you achieving one of the biggest milestones, becoming one of the youngest members of Parliament and the Deputy Minister for ICT. This month of March marks a year since your appointment. Could you just describe how the past year has been for us?
Well, last year has been a roller coaster. You can recall that as soon as we were appointed, the country was put in lockdown just a couple of weeks later, actually just 1 week later. And a lot of work had to be done in managing a crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. But more importantly, it was also a learning curve for me. But I think it's at times of pressure that you learn faster and that you're able to be as innovative as you can. And I think that has been my experience so far.
Yes, and what is it like being a young female politician in the August House? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think it's quite exciting. I'm the youngest, and the oldest could surely be over 60 years older than me. But at the same time, I think from where I'm sitting, there is mutual respect sometimes. There's also the willingness to learn from those that, of course, have gone before me, but also some are very welcoming to my new ideas and new ways of thinking. But I think what I have is the opportunity to bring my experience and my reality as a young Namibian woman to the chamber and to address, advocate, support issues that will make the life of the Namibian girl child and the Namibian young woman better in Namibia.
Now, you recently tabled a motion in Parliament seeking for tax exemption or reduction because period poverty has been a burning issue for years and hasn't received the necessary attention in Parliament. What pushed you to bring this up?
Well, I think, like in your introduction, you say the world over is grappling with poverty, and period poverty also forms part of that. The UN SDG goals talks about ending all forms of poverty, and Namibia is a party to the Agenda 23 SGBV goals. And also in our national plans, we're trying to eradicate poverty. So it's only natural that the population that's majority in the country, that unfortunately many today still grapple with not having menstrual hygiene products that they can afford. And rightfully so, because of the pandemic, I'm sure it has worsened. It's only right that the dignity of young women and women in this country is respected by trying to find a solution to them affording sanitary pads. And I think that was the main driver. Of course, there are different forms of ending period poverty. Maybe making it completely free is an option, but I will interrogate those issues tomorrow in my motivation in Parliament.
Now, you tabled this motion last week. What sense of understanding did you get from your fellow MPs?
Well, there are quite a number who have indicated support for the motion already. Those that have worked in similar spaces. I have also a background of sexual reproductive health, right? So from that perspective, I have had the knowledge around the realities of the Namibian girl child around period poverty, and those that have such a background in health or otherwise have already shown their interest in contributing to the debate. So we can only be sure tomorrow in the afternoon when the motion is discussed and debated and see how well it will be received.
Speaking of discussing this motion tomorrow, how confident are you in your case, firstly, and also what can us as the public look forward to?
Well, no, I think there's been a lot of information around this. Just recently, New Zealand made the provision of free sanitary pads in their schools. So there are a lot of lessons to carry from other countries and other jurisdictions. But of course, looking at your own reality is quite important. Yeah. So I'm quite prepared. I have done a lot of background work with the relevant ministries and institutions that will perhaps assist in making this a reality. So I think tomorrow's debate will really center on what would be the best solution, because I don't think my motivation is the only way we can adapt it. I'm hoping that in the chambers and through the public's engagement and civil society organizations that have advocated this for a very long time as well, we can come up with a solution that's realistic, that is affordable, and that is accessible for the Namibian child and woman.
Yeah, and as a lawyer and social justice advocate, what would passing this motion mean to you?
Oh, it will mean a great deal. It will mean that women get closer in achieving 100% of the rights that men enjoy today. One would contend that it's unfair that because of biological realities, women have to have this form of poverty that men do not necessarily have because their biology does not allow them to menstruate. So it's sort of bringing leveling the playing field and affording women more rights or accessibility to more rights that they otherwise do not have currently.
Yeah. Now, today is a huge day for women. It's International Women's Day. And the theme for this day is #ChooseToChallenge. And I think that describes a lot about just what you've said and the milestones that you've achieved. You know, this describes who you are. So what is your interpretation of this theme, and what would be your message for the Namibian people and especially for women on this day?
Well, yes, this year's theme is so befitting. Because I think last year has been a trying year for every person around the world. But as you know, it always disproportionately affects young women, girl child, and women. So I think this theme is very befitting in that more and more women, even in trying times like this, are choosing to challenge and to overcome. And my message to them is that they need continue. We need to continue choosing to challenge. We need to continue choosing to overcome. We need to continue choosing to speak our voice. And we need to continue choosing challenge to choose one another and support one another as women across the world.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Emma. Let's have a look at, the message that you have as a powerhouse woman. What message would you like to give those who are as young as you and those who are even younger than you who are aspiring to be powerhouse women as well?
Well, I don't know about being a powerhouse woman, but I will accept it. But my message would be that being tuned with those that have shaped your values and your principles, to always check in if you're on the right track. Also, try to consult as much as possible, and get others' views, because surely you cannot have all the answers. But of course, try your best and always strive to actually want to make an impact where you can. It might not always happen. It might not always go the way you want to, but I think there's no harm in trying. Therefore, keep on trying until forever.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Emma. Let's look at, this issue of the period issue not receiving the necessary attention in Parliament, you know, yet you continue to push to bring this up. What motivated you to do this?
Well, I think it's not that it's not receiving the attention in Parliament. In the past, it has been debated. If I recall, a motion was brought to the House in 2016. I think it was just around the modalities of making it a reality. And that's why it's important to interrogate issues over and over so that they're able to work and that they're able to be properly implemented. So my motivation really is that poverty still remains a problem in the country. Young women still face period poverty in addition to other forms of poverty, whether it's hunger and so on. So that is just almost natural that through this COVID-19 pandemic that has exposed all our weaknesses and exposed all the challenges we're facing, it's important to try to accelerate some of the issues we can bring solutions to now instead of waiting later. So that really motivated me. And I try to do this as soon as possible, just to allow institutions that are going to be involved through the recommendations I'm going to give tomorrow in my motivation enough time to actually find solutions and to make it work.
Thank you very much for that, Deputy Minister. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you have a blessed day ahead.
Thank you.